So this video is to show how the Pathetique sonata falls basically into three sections. This will hopefully make it easier to learn. Two of those sections begin with a slow sort of introduction, and the third of those three sections doesn't. It just follows straight on from the second section, which is in full swing. And then after the third section there's another slow part, and then a very brief coda, really. It's the end. Okay, so I'm not going to do that brief coda at the end. I mean, I won't call it a fourth section. Okay, that's just it's so small, it's tiny, and it's basically the same as the first section, almost, and it's very short. So don't need to do that. Don't need to worry about that. We call it three sections. And so we'll go. I may make lots of mistakes, but I'm trying to. I just want to show that it's basically three sections because it will help with the learning of it. Otherwise, it's too much of a big sort of mess to try to cut down into sections. So here's the first one. Bear with me with the mistakes if there are any. And of course I'll be playing it slower than it should be, but with practice we can get this fast. So here's the first section. Okay, the grave is this part and all that. We're not going to do that. Straight into the faster bits of it. and then the second slow part happens. So sorry for lots of mistakes there. And now here comes the second part. So we're missing out the slow section. Second part now. So that's the end of the second part. No slow section. And it goes straight into this that I began playing, the third section, which I'll now do. Sorry for all these mistakes. Here's the third section, which it runs straight into. Which is exactly the same as the first section for about, how many measures? For about 1, 2, 3, 4 measures. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. For 12 measures it's just the same as the beginning of the first section. So, but then it changes. So let's do this third section. Here it changes. And then there's that third slow section, which we won't do again, and the end is just a couple of measures long, and you've already done it. Most of it's already been done in the first section. Just the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The last 6 or so bars are different. So we'll just finish it off now. This is not part of the third section, I would say, just as like a coda. So lots of mistakes obviously, but I just wanted to get those 3 sections done so that when you come to practice it, you can divide it into those 3 sections. I think the first is the longest because it's got that repeat. The second is, very different from the first and the third sections. And the third section is very similar to the first section. It's just in a different key. I think it's in a sort of it's in a major. It's in C major, basically. So it's gone from C minor, and by the third section, it's the same thing, but it's in C major. Just like, by the way, in the third movement, it also becomes major. The same thing in the first section of the third movement is repeated as the when it kind of repeats again, but it's in a major key, just like it does here in the first movement. So if you don't split this up into those 3 sections, I think it's very difficult to get a bearing as to what you're doing, and it makes practice inefficient. So that's basically what I wanted to say in this. And so the slow sections are obviously easier to do. Don't need to really practice them. And it makes it difficult to practice it if you're going to be putting the slow movements, the slow parts, right? The slow parts are not difficult. And it makes it difficult to practice if you're going to be including those slow parts in this first movement. By the way, the same really for the third movement. You've got the main melody. You got that 3 times, maybe 4 times, 3 or 4 times, and to practice that third movement again, I would definitely miss out that. The first and the third movements are very similar. Even so far as going in the second part of the first movement, it goes right down to the bass of the piano, just like it does in the third movement. I don't need to show that, but the 2 movements mirror each other in a very what's the word? A very inventive way. I think yeah. So what else? This metronome is also going to be helpful as well to practice each of those movements. So once you've got it under your fingers, which I haven't got myself, but once you have, then put it, use your metronome. And I would say that if you've got one of these metronomes, in order to stop having to wind it up and spend time doing all that, it's, I think, best to do it at 2 speeds. One, obviously, half the speed of the other. So, for example, if I put it onto 126, whatever, okay. That might be okay for a full speed, really. So, but you can also do half that speed. That's how I'd use the metronome. So just show you what I'm doing here. 10 minutes. You can do it at this speed, or twice as slow, or twice as fast. So you have to keep on reaching out and winding it up. So. That's too fast, obviously. But you know, if I was to do it a bit slower, I could. It could be played at all 3 speeds. Or half the speed. Etc. or twice as fast. So, there are my helpful tips for learning this Pathetique sonata. It's a wonderful sonata.